Hey everybody, welcome to our Veganuary interactive cooking series. My name is Chelsea B. Davis with Veggies Do It Better. I'm also one of the co-founders of Animal Rights Collective Portland. This is also co-hosted by NARN, which is Northwest Animal Rights Network up in Seattle. We want to welcome everybody to the series. This is the second of 3 weeks. If you missed the first week, you can watch the first week. What we're going to be doing is uploading these to my YouTube at Veggies Do It Better, which Steph had that idea, so thank you so much. It's not very active, so this is a great excuse for me to get more active on there. We'll be uploading the videos there, and then I'll be sharing the links on our event page on Facebook. If you are not on Facebook, what you can do is just email me at chelsea.davis@gmail.com, and I will get that to you. I'm also emailing out through Zoom, and I think what's happening is it's going into spam. So if you did sign up for this and you're watching it later, you can get all of the recipes and everything through email. So you just want to check your spam. And again, you can probably look it up from my email, which again is chelsea.davis@gmail.com. So before we get started with Jeanie, I wanted to first introduce the co-host a little bit more. So again, my name is Chelsea B. Davis with Veggies Do It Better. Veggies Do It Better I started about 5 or 6 years ago. It's community-based. I'm a very passionate vegan and community organizer, and I love doing events like this. I do a lot of cooking classes and virtual workshops, especially through Unchained News TV, or Unchained TV, which used to be Jane Unchained, so you can check that out as well. In addition to Veggies Do It Better, another co-host is ARCPDX, which is Animal Rights Collective Portland. We got started, we formed last summer, and it's a wonderful organization for people to get involved with, even if you aren't in Portland, because like this class, we do a lot of virtual events. We also do a virtual community meeting at the first Wednesday of every month. We have really interesting speakers and discussions, and a lot of the stuff that we talk about is applicable to vegans and activists all over the country and the world, so we definitely recommend checking that out. And then in addition to that, NARN is our fiscal sponsor, and we absolutely adore them and love working with them. And Steph is going to go ahead and share a bit about them real quick. So Steph, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So my name is Steph Taylor, and I'm the programs manager at the Northwest Animal Rights Network. And I have been on staff for, I'm going into my 3rd year now, but NARN has been around since 1986. And the organization's based in Seattle, and we are a volunteer-run organization. Our board of directors are all volunteer. And yeah, like Chelsea was saying, we work a lot with ARCPDX, and we are looking to work on more events, kind of facilitating the connection between Portland and Seattle. We also work on a variety of campaigns, including a lot of wildlife issues at the state legislature. We work on animals in labs, and we also work on a lot of vegan issues, including this exciting cooking class series. So we're very excited about this. Thanks so much to Chelsea for all your hard work, and also to Jeanie. Jeanie is one of NARN's volunteers who helps out with our monthly letter writing, and is also an awesome holistic, healthy cook. And so I'm very happy to be here. I'm sorry my camera's off. I've been having connectivity issues all weekend, and I might hop over to my phone here in just a second. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Chelsea.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steph. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Jeanie Oliver. We're really excited to have her. She has lived a whole foods, plant-based, no oil, and low salt lifestyle for over 10 years. As a retired writing and literature teacher, she has shifted her passion towards vegan cooking. Jeanie loves demonstrating how healthy meal prep can be easy and delicious. She is inspired by the teachings of Dr. Mcdougall, Dr. Esselstyn, and Chef AJ.
Great. Thank you, Chelsea. Appreciate it. Well, today we're starting with red lentils, and one reason I like using them is because they cook very quickly, and many of you may already have discovered that too. I buy these in bulk from, I guess Whole Foods has them, PCC. They're a great quick meal. I'm going to measure out 1 cup here. Wash my hands first.
Sub green lentils for this?
They're called red lentils. Are you asking if you can use them? Yes, you may. It just, the cooking time is just a little longer, but you absolutely can.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, these tend to break down more with heat, so it's more of a creamy soup, this type of lentil. But I love the brown and green ones very much too. I put it in a strainer like this to rinse before I cook. So we'll go over to the sink here. And let some water run through there. And
If we're gonna be adding the peppers or not the peppers, sorry, the potatoes or carrots to it, is that something we should try to cook first or with it? Where should we add that?
good question. I actually cook it all together. I use an Instant Pot, and the setting that I use works well for all of those ingredients. If you're cooking on the stove, same thing. You can put it all in together, and all the vegetables cook very well in the same time span as the lentils. That may not be as true with the green or the brown because they take longer to cook. So you may want to steam your veggies separately in that situation. I confess, I was very resistant to buying an Instant Pot. I held out for a really long time. And once I got one, it was like, oh, now I know what all the enthusiasm is about. Because I make a lot of food, like I imagine many of you do, from Whole Foods. Time, is a constraint, and the Instant Pot just cooks food so quickly, and I can batch cook beans and rice and other things, so quickly with it. I can make a pot of soup in 4 minutes in the Instant Pot. It's pretty great. Okay, we're going over here to the inner pot and putting those in.
And can you explain what this pot is?
Oh yeah, this is the inner pot for the Instant Pot. Some of you may be using one right on your stove top. This is what'll fit inside the Instant Pot itself. Okay, let's see. I'm looking at my notes here. I need 4 cups of water. And add that. You may notice that I've got all the ingredients on my counter for making this, and I've discovered that it really helps me out a lot, especially as I've gotten older, to have everything out. So it's ready to go, and I can see everything that I need. Instead of like, sometimes I'll get going, I need to add something quickly. It's like, oh yeah, that's still in the cupboard, or where was that spice? And so it helps me a lot to get things out. Let's see, we're gonna cut up a medium onion. I have a pea patch at Picardo, and I love growing onions there because you don't have to be very skilled to do it, and they're fail proof, and they keep for a really long time. So it's a great vegetable to grow if you're inclined, and maybe you already are. My daughter who's filming this is a wonderful chef, and she's one of those people who chops up onions really quickly and keeps her fingers out of the way. And I'm kind of old school. It's just kind of randomly do it with a small serrated knife. I have a fantasy about taking a knife using class someday and being pink like violet. Okay. Righty. Just gonna put those right in with everything else. Ready for some fresh ginger. I love ginger. I use it in a lot of things. It really flavors salad dressings nicely. I generally use a rice vinegar and add some grated ginger in there. And I like to use it generously in this dish because it's so flavorful.
How much would you recommend?
Let's see, the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of fresh ginger. And of course, with the shape that it is, it's hard to eyeball that exactly. But my suggestion is, if you also like the flavors of Indian food, go ahead and be generous with how much you use.
We don't have an Instapot.
Oh, what was that?
I was
If we
gonna
don't have an
share-
Instapot, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
No. Jocelyn, you go.
If we don't have an Instapot, would we pretty much do the same stuff on the stove with the pot?
Yes, a pot on the stove will work fine with this, and you'll find it'll cook up, I think, in about 10 or 15 minutes. So still very quickly.
So I wanted to share a tip when it comes to ginger. I like to juice ginger, and then what I do is I keep the meal that comes out of the juicer, because I have the juicer where it like spits it out, and then it's like the perfect grated ginger. And then I just put it in ice cubes in an ice cube tray and freeze it. Then I can pull it out whenever I need it.
That's a great tip.
That is a great tip. I have experienced just, freezing the whole root before too. And I find I use it so quickly that I don't have a chance to. But in that situation where you're creating it from juicing, what a handy thing. You just grab a cube and throw it in your recipe, huh?
Let's show the ginger when you're done grating it. What's that? Let's show the ginger when you're
If
done
we're
grating.
using a pot on the stove, then we're starting to boil the water right away.
That's a good point. You might as well start heating the water up as you're adding things.
Okay. And then since this is oil free, then we would not be sauteing the onions.
Correct. I just put it right in with the soup and it'll cook. Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, as I'm teaching a class, I need to cough all of a sudden. That's how it goes sometimes.
So you're cutting up more of the onion.
Yeah, I just realized I didn't put in the whole onion yet, so I'm backtracking a little.
Anyone else crying over onions?
I find sometimes maybe you all know have had this success with this too. I'll rinse them in cold water and my knife off sometimes while I'm working, and that seems to help. And even the cutting board.
I sometimes wear those like goofy onion goggles.
Good work. Yeah, Violet even got me some. They work really well. This isn't too pungent, so okay. There we go.
How many servings this is gonna end up making?
That's a good question.
Depends on how hungry you are.
If it serve a family of 4.
Hopefully leftovers if it's you too.
Yeah, I live by myself and I tend to freeze at least half of it for another time. Okay, adding those and moving right along. It's time to add our spices. I like to keep my spices in these 1/2 pint jars. I learned this from someone else, and what's nice about it, if you empty them into here, is that you can get your measuring spoons into them so easily. For example, here's some curry, and look how easily that goes in. I like to use very generous teaspoons in this recipe because, again, I really like the spice flavors. This is curry, and I'm going to add that. I'm going to show you my spice drawer. It's really handy. I put labels on top of everything and I try to keep it reasonably alphabetized. And I have 2 drawers of spices, so that works well for me. I noticed it's getting more difficult to find spices in bulk anymore, and I imagine it may be because of the pandemic. Okay, that was curry, and now I'm going to add the cumin, similarly a very generous teaspoon.
I've got a question for everyone on this call. Are you guys from Portland, or where's mostly everyone from? Portland? Okay, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I bet you can also find the red lentils at New Seasons as well in bulk, I would assume.
Oh, good point. I tend to buy bottled organic lemon juice just because it keeps so very well. I keep it in the refrigerator once I open it. And you can see the ingredients. It's organic lemon juice, heck of a deal. It's flavorful and very easy to use. And it keeps, like I never have to worry about hard lemons on my counter anymore.
And how much are you using?
I'm going to use 2 tablespoons as the recipe says. And sometimes if you really like the flavors of lemon juice, you can always add it to your soup at the table too. And the same goes with any spices. If you have people in your family who prefer spicier food, it's always great to add things at the table too. I think we've got everything we need to start cooking this.
Are you putting a potato in?
Oh yeah, thank you, Violet. My co-chef here. I forgot the potato. Let's add that. I have it all washed ahead of
Potato
time.
or other veggies at this point.
That's right. If you've got mushrooms, carrots, anything else that you might like to add.
Mushrooms would be good.
Yeah, mushrooms are good. Nice.
Or spinach, maybe? Would that work?
Yeah, I add the greens at the end, and today I have arugula, and I'm gonna be adding that because once this soup is cooked, it's nice and hot, and the greens will just wilt right away in it. It's pretty handy way to add them after it's cooked. And just slicing the potatoes in smallish pieces. There we go. Ready to add it to the pot. Glad Violet's here and reminded me. And give that all just a little stir. You're going to see my Instant Pot here at the end of the counter. And I'm going to lock on that lid. If you're on your stove, this is a good time to cover your soup if it's simmering.
Maybe on like medium heat for stovetop?
Yeah, medium heat.
Yeah.
Just so that it's steam, simmering. Not a hard boil, but a nice simmer, and you can even lift the lid and stir it periodically. Okay, I'm going to pressure 5 minutes.
That's it.
That's it. Easy peasy. Yeah, it's a really great recipe. A little thing to share if you know about these or if you don't. These are really handy for people like me that need a little more strength opening things. Ace Hardware has them. I don't know about those. Okay, I have a few other things to share that I've added, I think, since we first talked about the class. And one of them is to share some resources that I enjoy. I get a lot of books from the library, and I enjoy checking out new vegan cookbooks all the time. And I'll show you some that I like a lot. For those of you who might be new to plant-based living, this is a wonderful resource. The Happy Herbivore by Lindsay Nixon. She has some recipes in the back, but also just a lot of great tips. One pot recipes, and she also includes such basic condiments as ketchup and let's see, I was going to mention something else. Oh yeah, a no beef broth, no chicken broth, a vegan Parmesan, vegan mayo, and dressings. That's really nice. One thing I really like in this book is she talks about minimalist meals. And so really she has a system. It's start with either a grain or potato, add bean or tofu, greens or veggies, and sauce. And if you use that template, if you will, to create meals, you don't necessarily even need recipes really. You can say, well, I'm in the mood for a sweet potato. I think I'll add some black beans. Ooh, that would be really good with some corn on the side. And then a sauce, you may want to make a mango salsa that goes with that nicely. And she's got a bunch of suggestions on the second page here. Pasta, chickpeas, broccoli, and a marinara sauce. And a whole list of things, and then some pictures. I get this book at the public library occasionally just to revisit it, and that's where this copy's from. I'll be turning it back in, and you can check it out if you like. Another person I like in plant-based living, a lot of you may know him, or all of you, is Dr. John Mcdougall. He started a long time ago from his research on Hawaii as a doctor, realizing that the people that he served who ate traditional diets lived the longest. And he advocates for a starch-based diet because they fill us up nicely and they're comfort foods, potatoes, rice, pasta. And this book explains his research and his work in a very easy to read format. and he's got recipes at the back. Also, he maintains a website online, Dr. McDougall, I think it's Dr. John, drmcdougall.com, that's it. If you just Google his name, you'll find it too. All of his recipes are free online, which is a wonderful resource. He's really committed to this lifestyle. His other book is The Healthiest Diet on the Planet, and he explains how to be a healthy vegan. As a lot of you probably know, there's a lot of junk food that's vegan too, but if you also want to be healthy, there's some great guidelines to follow with that. It's not difficult. Another one I like is the 7-Day Rescue Diet, Eat Plants, Lose Weight, Save Your Health by Rip Esselstyn. You may know he was a firefighter in Austin, Texas, who got his whole firehouse to go on this diet. And I guess heart disease is a #1 killer, not only in our nation, but also with firemen and fire people. And they tend to get most of their calls with heart attacks. So when the coworkers adopt, you may know, the plant-based diet, all their numbers got really healthy, they lost weight. And this book is a good example of how to tailor your own program for 7 days if you're new at this or just want to try it out anyway. A lot of recipes in the back and a lot of guidelines for how to eat really healthy. This is a doctor I really value. That's Rip Esselstyn's father, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. He's in his late 80s, still riding his bicycle, and so vital. And he's done a lot of research with 2 groups of people about actually not only just preventing heart disease, but reversing it. And his successes are amazing. And this cookbook has a lot of pictures and some great healthy recipes. Lastly, I value Chef AJ. She has a lot of YouTubes online. She does salt, oil, and sugar-free SOS. And she really is a champion of weight loss and dealing with compulsive eating issues, which are pretty prevalent. Experienced that myself. So I like her stuff online. It's really helpful. And this book has great recipes. This one isn't a cookbook, but I like to give it a shout out. Some of you may be familiar with Gary Francione, I believe it's pronounced. Eat Like You Care, an examination of the morality of eating animals. And it's just a beautiful, thin book. I say it's beautiful because he does such a great job of pointing out why it's moral to not eat animals. I started my journey as a vegan for health reasons. The science just seemed to make sense to me that this is the healthiest way to eat. But it was learning about the animals that really tipped the scales for me and allowed me to embrace this more wholeheartedly. Because once I knew more about that, I really couldn't not do this. So, and this book was helpful to me with that too. And I get emotional just talking about it. Okay, let's go check on our soup and I'll show you a couple other fun things. Looks like it's still heating up to reach the point to start the timer. So I'm going to share something else with you that I really enjoy doing. You may know that organic corn tortillas are available in a number of places in our community at the markets. And I like this brand because it's pretty inexpensive. It's about $2.40, and it's just organic whole corn, water, and a trace of lime. I got these at PCC today. I've seen different ones at Whole Foods. I think Trader Joe's also sells them, but they're not organic there. If that's not a concern, that's a good place to get them too.
I also bet New Seasons would have them too.
Yeah. That's right. I keep forgetting we're talking to Portland. Anyway, I learned this tip from someone on TV. If you want to cut tortillas into salt and oil-free chips, you can use a scissors to do it. You can also score them with a knife on a cutting board, of course, but this kind of reminds me of kindergarten and it's fun. So I just like to cut them up. I've heard of people spritzing these with water, which helps if you want to add spices. It helps them stick to them. I have not done that before because I usually dip them in wonderful hummus, homemade hummus and things like that. which are flavorful too, but they just make such a great crisp corn chip in the oven. We're going to set the timer, or excuse me, the temperature in the oven for 350. Start on the left there. Versus
Oh, thanks.
yeah, thanks. Violet's my helper.
I wanted to share, if anybody else has a problem with corn, there's these, I don't know how new they are, but they're by the Real Coconut, and they're coconut flour tortillas.
Ooh.
And these are a great alternative. I get them at Natural Grocers. I don't know if you guys have Natural Grocers up in Seattle.
We don't, but we used to live in Corvallis and we had it there. That's a great store.
Yeah. But they're coconut, cassava, water, xanthan gum. Oh, they have a little bit of coconut oil in them, and then sea salt. But they make really good chips too.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, getting these mostly cut up here. And I apologize for not having the recipe for this listed sooner. I timed my my soup presentation, and it was, when I did it for myself, it was just a half an hour, and I thought, oh, I better add a couple more things. And these are really so simple to do. And boy, if you have children, they're a big hit too. Well, who doesn't like chips? They're so popular. Anyway, whoops, one man down. Okay, I've got this great baking sheet. I'm gonna put them on and spread them out on. So hopefully they're not touching each other.
How is everyone's soup turning out on the stove? Is it kind of like coming to a simmer boil?
Yeah, it's looking good.
Oh, great. Is it fragrant? That's one thing I like about making the soup. The fragrance is nice.
Yeah, it smells really good.
Oh, good. Great. Okay, these chips are, I confess I haven't made this many all together before, but it
takes a lot.
should work fine.
You can take some off.
I think they'll crisp just fine there.
Okay.
I also like to make baked whole tortillas, and I eat a lot of tostadas, or I use these, break them up and just dip them in my rice and beans. I eat rice and beans pretty much every night. I love pinto beans and short grain brown rice, homemade salsa. I'm from California, can you tell? I love that food. And I also think Indian food is, so many cuisines are delicious. And if you find one you really like, no harm to eat that way frequently. Dr. John Mcdougall explains that most people like to repeat meals that they enjoy. And there's no problem nutritionally with doing that, as long as you're eating well-rounded meals that include grains, legumes, beans, fruit, vegetables. They're good. So I love that about
the recipe, the dal recipe, that's from David Gaby's book.
It is. It is. Yeah, I have a copy of that. Let me grab it.
We'll just stay here.
Thank you for mentioning that, Chelsea. David Gaby lives in Oregon, and years ago I took some workshops from him. And unfortunately, the library here doesn't have any copies of his book, so I'll see if I can donate this one actually. And he seemed to be really ahead of his time. He was publishing and teaching quite some time ago, and really excellent instructor and wonderful recipes. He's not SOS free in all of these here, if that's a concern. But they're pretty easy to tailor. Instead of sauteing in oil, you can water saute, or even vegetable broth works well too for sauteing. With the Instant Pot, I just tend to throw everything in at once. It's so easy, and I don't feel as though flavor is lost that way. Mushrooms cook in the same amount of time as the red lentils in the Instant Pot. 4 minutes is pretty standard for if I chunk up potatoes or want to do mushrooms, carrots. And I actually keep a cheat sheet in my drawer over here about timing for the Instant Pot. And you might want to make your own cheat sheet for the kinds of things you like to make. I make a lot of pasta, beans, bulgur, potatoes, brown rice, polenta. And you can do a lot of these in the Instant Pot very efficiently. It's nice.
The thing that I really love. about David Gaby's book too is it's really easy to follow. Like his recipes are really simple. They're really good for people just starting out. Him and his daughter's cookbooks are really good.
I agree. Yeah, it's just very clear, not complicated. And it just packs a lot of possibilities because it's solid recipes. They're great. And sometimes when I have company,
His last name in the chat so we could look him up.
Oh, sure. I'll do that for you.
Good idea. Oh yeah, it's right here too.
there you go.
And that is
Yeah.
cooking, right?
Yeah. Okay. We're
Any
waiting.
other tips to how to avoid oil in your diet?
Oh, that's a good question. Sauteing again with water or broth. I don't use oil in salad dressings. There's some wonderful recipes online to make them. I like to use brown rice vinegar and maybe with some ginger in it pretty regularly as a salad dressing. But many of you may know you can make Italian dressings and even ranch and that with plant milk and even thickeners. So it's pretty easy to avoid oil if that's something you want to do. It just seems the more reading I do, the more I understand that we want to keep fats to a minimum in our diet for our cardiovascular health and overall health. So that's why I choose to. Let's see.
Did you want to pickle this?
I have a question. Is this also a no salt recipe?
It is. You can certainly add salt, and Dr. McDougall encourages adding salt at the table rather than in cooking because apparently that works very well. Our taste buds will get the salt initially when we have it on the surface of our food, and it saves needing to use more salt in the process of cooking. So if you lightly salt, or if you want just a little bit of brown sugar on your oatmeal, that's his recommendation. So it's really a continuum, and I think everything that we can do to limit things that aren't as healthy is good. But Dr. John Mcdougall also takes the position of you want a diet that's going to, a way of eating that's going to be sustainable. And if a little bit of brown sugar helps you eat that oatmeal or lightly salting your soup, that's great. So I'm glad you brought that up, Chelsea, because it's an important point. It's not all or nothing in this way of eating, and it doesn't have to be. I have a friend who told me that vegetarianism saves a lot of animal lives, and so if someone isn't vegan but they're vegetarian, that's a really helpful thing. So it's a good thing too. You may know Mrs. Dash makes a lot of seasonings that don't have salt, and this is one that I like, lemon pepper. They're inexpensive. I think this was $1.99 at Fred Meyer the other day, and I think most stores carry it, like Safeway and that. And although it says let's see, oil of lemon, it's really just the natural oils from the peel is what I've grown to understand. And so this is okay to use. It's endorsed by the plant doctors, and it adds a nice burst of flavor. I enjoy it on soups and that. I thought I'd also show how easy it is to pickle things without salt. Who would have thought? But
Jeanie, can I add something real quick about the seasoning?
please
I don't know. I know that you follow Chef AJ, and she actually works exclusively with Local Spicery, which is down in California. And they have a lot of really great blends. And everything is salt and sugar-free and oil-free, the seasonings that she is a part of developing. So that's another.
That is great. I hadn't known that. That's wonderful. One I really like that I've learned about from her and others too is called Benson's Table Tasty. You can buy it directly from Benson's or from, unfortunately, I don't have one here to show you, or from Amazon, and you can buy it bulk too in like a Ziploc baggie. And that stuff is really delicious. It's pricier than Mrs. Dash, but it is really tasty. And a lot of people I've seen online say they can't believe it doesn't have salt in it because it has those flavors that we really respond well to. It's delicious.
So let's go back to the chips real quick. We just had our oven get preheated to 350. How long do you cook the chips for, Mom?
Well, that is a great question because unfortunately, I rely on keeping an eye on them. I have never actually timed them exactly. And I recommend that you definitely keep an eye on them too, because ovens heat it, differently from each other. And I have an oven light, so I'll peek in there. I have found if I wander away and start doing something else, whoa, I forgot about those. So I try to make sure I do them when I'm going to be in the kitchen, and I might even set a timer for 5 minutes just to make sure I'm still aware of them.
We can keep an eye on the chips too. So we just put them in. It's been a little less than a minute. So we might have an approximate time to give you as we kind of keep an eye on the
Hey,
chips.
what a great idea.
I'm gonna quality test this cucumber here.
There's evolution in action. My daughter is.
I have a question about the pickles that you're doing right now. Are these only for pickled cucumbers, or can you do them for like other vegetables like onions, maybe daikon, carrots? So is it just
That's a great question. That's a great question. And you absolutely can. And I have jalapenos I'm going to do it with today too. But yes, carrots, daikon, other radishes, definitely. The vinegar preserves the food and it makes it safe to eat. And you don't need salt to make it work. I used to love dill pickles when I was a kid. I'm sure I still do, out of the jar. And they used to have them in big barrels where I grew up. And for a nickel, you could get a whole dill pickle. And gosh, it sounds like pretty crazy right now because they must have been loaded with sodium. But these are really yummy too. I tend to slice them a little bit thick to keep the crunch. You can experiment and see what you like. If you do them very thin, they get a little wilty. And okay, that's the Instant Pot telling us the soup is cooked. So anyway, let me proceed with this for a bit. I'm going to put the cucumbers in a clear glass jar, and you may know canning jars are available at a lot of markets, and also Ace Hardware sells them. You can get a dozen of them there. I also tend to pick them up in thrift stores.
So you fill it pretty hot or pretty full?
Yeah, I do.
That's pretty packed in there.
Yeah, it's packed.
Okay.
There we go. And I use apple cider vinegar. You can use pretty much any vinegar you like.
What other vinegars can you use?
Rice vinegar, just plain white vinegar, wine vinegar, red wine vinegar, or white wine vinegar. I haven't tried the balsamics, the sweet vinegars. I tend to like the acidic flavor better. And you can put that in. I actually like to add some ginger to my cucumber pickles. Let me do that real quick.
How much?
I'm one of those people that kind of just does it according to taste or visual, and people's tastes differ. So whatever if you like ginger a lot, put a lot in. If you just like a little bit of it. And once these pickles are eaten, there will be vinegar left over, and I just recycle it and use it as a salad dressing. So it all gets used.
Do that before you put it in.
There's the ginger nicely grated.
Have you ever pickled mushrooms before?
I haven't. I bet that would be just yummy.
That would
I
be
do
good.
that like with the leftover pickle juice. I saw it. Tabitha Brown was doing it when she was doing like a deviled egg.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's so good. And then you make your egg. You added tofu and so good.
Oh, yummy. That sounds like great picnic food too in the summer.
So Sadie just had a good question. She wanted to know if that was all water or vinegar, or sorry, a mix of vinegar and water, or just straight vinegar. That
It's
you put in
straight vinegar. I imagine people can dilute it with water too. I just tend to use straight vinegar, and it works out great. They're crunchy and delicious. Like if I have an open face hummus sandwich, so wonderful to put a few pickles on the side or on top. I tend to use it like that for sandwiches, or I'll use it as a dipper itself in hummus. And it's nice piquant flavor. So
have you ever added garlic to it too?
You can. When I used to do canning, I put garlic in it, but I haven't with these little, these are called refrigerator pickles, and I haven't done it with this, but you could do that too, definitely.
So
easily.
What now?
I'm just going to pop it in the fridge, and these are ready to start eating anytime you want. They'll get more pickled in a day, than they are at this moment, but the flavors are already, coating the cucumbers. So it's just I don't know if you like pickles and you also like health, this is a great option. You want to
How long
limit.
do they last for, and how do you know when they're going bad?
Chelsea.
That's a good question. I tend to eat them before they might, but I believe, my understanding is the vinegar will preserve them, you know. I hate to say indefinitely because I could be wrong. I'll have to look it up to be sure. But vinegar is just such an age-old preservative, and it works really well. So they may lose, they may start to soften in ways that aren't as desirable as when they're crispy over time. But again, mine don't last that long. And sometimes, actually, I forgot about some jalapenos I had in the pickled in the fridge once, and they were fine months later. So I haven't really had any issues with that, but it's probably a good thing to Google just to, you know, for food safety to make sure.
And let's check the chips now too. See how
Good
they're
idea.
doing.
Oh, they're crisping very. I see how they're curling up. That means they're flying out. Okay, we're gonna make some jalapenos. This time of year, they tend not to be as spicy as I prefer, but they still add a nice flavor. In your burritos, on top of your tostada, by themselves with a sandwich. Oh yeah, I can actually, can you feel a little bit of fume there from
Yeah,
that?
I
Yeah,
can.
we're getting a little bit, yay. All right, and you probably know, be very careful about rubbing your eyes if you've handled these with bare hands. If you scratch your nose or rub your eye, you can, I pre-wash these, by the way. You can really sting your eyes. That is not fun. So some people like to wear plastic gloves when they slice these, just to take those off afterwards, but I just make sure to wash my hands really carefully afterwards, scrub them up nicely. And again, just cutting these up, putting them in a jar.
A question. Do you do anything with air frying?
My daughter does.
Yeah, great question. I'm not an expert here. I'll say that right now. My mom actually gave me the air fryer. I personally really like it to air fry tofu with. I think it's a really good way if I like cut it up in squares and throw it in there. It can get really crispy. That's a huge thing. I've heard that like Brussels sprouts and broccoli are really good in air fryers too. I do use oil, so I'll use a little bit of oil on mine, but usually it's like coconut oil and stuff like that.
French fries are great.
Yes. So actually, that's a really good point. At Trader Joe's, they have these French fries. They might have salt in them, so I apologize if they do. But they are just potatoes. They cut up for French fries, and I get those a lot and put them in the air fryer. But they might have salt on them. I'm not sure.
And that's fine. I mean, not everybody here is totally salt-free. It's just, yeah. So I did throw a clove of garlic in there, inspired by you guys. Thank you. And again, just close her up. And these jalapenos are really nice too. If you need to make a quick salsa, you can throw a few of these in a blender or food processor with your tomato, you know, a bit of canned tomatoes or fresh tomatoes, some onion, and then these. Your dad makes a really great salsa with just jalapenos and tomato sauce, and it's really great, super quick. So again, popping that in the oven, and let's check on our soup.
Do you know how long those jalapenos will keep in the fridge for?
What was
How long the jalapenos will keep in the fridge?
Again, my experience has been pretty much indefinitely. I tend to eat the cucumbers very quickly, and I've left the jalapenos in the fridge for months, and at least several months, and there hasn't been a problem. They will get softer over time, so to me that's less desirable, but I'm pretty sure they're safe for a very long period of time. And I would be happy to Google this before we close and verify exactly how long. But again, vinegar is a really great preservative. So
and you did the same thing. You just put vinegar in the jalapenos in the jar, and that's it.
Yes, vinegar to cover it, and close it up and stick it in the fridge. It's great.
Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. It seems like everything I know I've learned from other people myself, so it's passing on.
Another question too.
Sure.
Can you mix like vegetables like in one jar, or is it best to like
Yes.
put them in each different jar? Like I'm thinking about doing like a vegan banh mi, and I want to do like daikon and carrots, you know, and can I do it in one jar?
You can. It's really the same concept of kimchi, which uses, you probably know, cabbage and sometimes carrots and daikon and that. As long as you've got that vinegar in there as a preservative, it's good. And those items go together really well. I was thinking green beans would be a fun one to pickle too. Anything you really see on the store shelves that's pickled, we can do the same with just vinegar. And you can flavor your vinegars too, like with rosemary or sage or other spices. It doesn't have to be ginger. So it's really
wow,
fun.
that's awesome. Thank you for
I
that.
know. And such a great gift too, really. I mean, you can pop a bow on it at the holidays and it's such a simple, flavorful gift. Yeah. Okay, I'm letting a little bit of steam out here. I tend to do a little natural pressure release on this just so it's not shooting out too heavily. And I always lightly cover the steam area with a towel so I'm not getting steam on my cupboards and that. But oh, the fragrance is wonderful.
It does smell really good.
The ginger and curry. And this will go down soon.
What kind of vinegar do you use for pickling? Yes, apple cider vinegar is what my mom uses. But yeah, you can use any kind of vinegar, it sounds like.
Yes, exactly right. And I don't always use this one. Recently I was out of other vinegars and I use white vinegar for cleaning. So and it's food grade. So I went ahead and used some of that and it was fine. Okay, here's what our soup looks like all cooked.
I'm gonna wait until the steam goes down a little bit.
Oh, that's
so
a
you
good
can see
idea.
it. Okay.
And I'll take it out of the pot. And I imagine some of you on the stovetop, you may see a similar look by now too, that all these lentils have become creamy. They've broken down. And what you've got is a wonderful creamy looking soup. I'm going to put some in a bowl and do a taste test. And feel free to join me if you've made some also.
Sorry, I can't get closer. It's steaming over here.
That makes sense. And it's yellow now. It's interesting because as you know, it starts out of that sort of reddish orange, and it's yellow once it cooks. I love this soup, these red lentils, because if I want a nice warm bowl of soup for dinner with some homemade bread or tortillas, it just cooks up so quickly and feels to me very luxurious, you know, like it's like, oh, I've gone to an Indian restaurant and gotten a great dal, you know, or being hosted at someone's house. It's like, oh, I can do this for myself. It's great. So I'm going to grab a spoon. It's probably still pretty hot to take a bite, but curious how it is. Very good. To me, this is comfort food. It's just so yummy. And I think the amount of spice I put in is great because it's really got a little bit of bite with the ginger and flavors. It's really good. Would you like to try some?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Hey, Jeanie, I have a question for you. So I know you do no salt, and then do you do low sugar too?
I try.
You will incorporate
I try.
You incorporate more natural types of sodium. Like I know Chef AJ, she does like celery juice, so she gets her sodium, natural sodium that way. I myself, I like to use like kelp granules and things like that. What if do you do that? And like, what kind of ingredients do you like as alternatives to regular table salt?
That's a good question. Again, this Mrs. Dash, I think for some reason it gives that little kick of flavor that salt will do without the salt. And Benson's Table Tasty, that one is amazing because, like I said, so many people think it does have salt in it. It has a salty flavor. But you're right, seaweeds are good. Yeah, and sometimes I will. It's like, oh, salt would just bring out so much more in this. Sometimes I will take Dr. John Mcdougall's advice and just do a teeny sprinkling of salt on something. But in general, one thing I've learned is that our taste buds adjust. You know, when we cut salt back and start living with less or none, I mean, it occurs naturally in foods. Like you mentioned, celery is one that's high in sodium or has sodium. But anyway, our taste buds adjust so that when I eat in a restaurant now, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, this is so salty. It's crazy. And maybe even even a lot of you have noticed that even if you use salt at home, restaurant food tends to be even more salty. And so, yeah, I think these salt-free, Mrs. Dash has a number of different combinations that add wonderful flavors without salt. And again, Benson's Table Tasty, are just using it sparingly. Hey, our chips are looking like they may be ready. I'm gonna grab my tongs.
And we have a couple minutes left too, just so you know.
Okay.
And then what about like sweeteners and stuff? Do you have any favorite sweeteners that you like to use?
You know, honestly, I've learned to really appreciate fruit. I never ate a lot of fruit. I know a lot of people say they eat too much fruit. It's hard to stop. They love it so much. For some reason, I'm more of a savory person, and I've always been drawn to vegetables primarily. But I've started to, I do crave sugar like many of us. And so I've started to really appreciate that fruit provides. It's just delicious. I mean, envy apples and Honeycrisp. Violet's dad just told us about envy apples this year, and they are so yummy. It's like eating candy. I just dice it up in a little bowl. And I also like pineapple. I buy frozen pineapple that's organic because it's so easy. I just put some in a little bowl. And I was just reading about the blue zones in a book about them today, and it said they believe that part of longevity is eating fruit, at least 2 or 3 servings of fruit a day. And, you know, and servings tend to be, you know, half a cup or something is a serving generally. So not huge amounts, but in terms of sweet, it really hits the spot for me. Trying to think what else. Sometimes I made juice popsicles for my grandkids when they lived in the States, and that was really yummy to join them. Yeah, do any of you have tips for avoiding processed refined sugars and getting that sweet fix?
I like dates.
Oh, dates are a great example.
Dates are good.
Yes, 1 date is a serving, but I'll tell you, one medjool date, it's so rich and delicious,
That is
you
good.
know. And if you can have 2 or 3 servings a day, go for it. Dates are an excellent suggestion. They're delicious.
And a date with a pecan inside of it is
Mhm.
like pecan pie a little bit.
I was just gonna say, I've seen them slit with peanut butter in them, and then maybe even a little raisin on top of that. You know, they make a nice little hors d'oeuvre at a party or something. Yeah, they're yummy. I think our chips are ready. What's the timing on that, Violet? Did you remember?
It was about 18 minutes
Oh,
at 3:50.
okay. And look at that. We've got a whole tray of wonderful crisp chips for dipping that don't have any oil or salt on them. This is a healthy chip. And I just happen to have one of my favorite things to dip chips in here besides salsa, which is the all-pop one. I like to make a chickpea salad, kind of like tuna salad, only with chickpeas. I add maybe a little grated carrot, diced celery, diced onion, and some lemon juice, and I whirl that in the food processor. I make a lot of chickpea salad sandwiches out of this, and if I need a snack, it's great with a chip. Sometimes you just want that crunch, right? And make your own chips. It's great. Any other questions or thoughts? Things to share? Has anyone else tried their soup?
My lentils are not like breaking down as much as I wish that they were at this point.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Can you show us, Sadie, what they look
Yeah.
like? I can reverse this.
They might be kind of old. I don't know if that would do that. Try not to drop my. I have potatoes and mushrooms in here, but it's still kind of watery with the, you know, the lentils and the water are separate, and yours seems creamier.
Yeah, can you put in 4 cups of water?
A little less because I had a little less lentils.
Okay, you know, I think if you continue to cook that, it'll get to where you'd like it to be. The water should evaporate off, and the lentils will expand and break down more. And you're right, sometimes if a product is older, it takes longer to cook.
maybe like 10, 15 more minutes.
Yeah, you can just gauge it. I mean, fortunately, you can't overcook it, right? I mean, it'll just, yeah. So I think that's probably gonna work for you with that.
Okay, thank
I
you.
hope so.
Here's
I'm sure
ours.
it's still gonna be good.
And then you can see it.
Oh yeah, I like that you put carrots in there. Is that what I'm looking at? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, we put carrots and sweet potato.
Yummy.
nice.
Yes, I think it just needs to cook a bit more.
And then we'll top it with kale. But yeah.
Ooh,
can-
thank you.
yeah.
You just reminded me. I'm so glad you're on here. And said that. I forgot to add my arugula. Here it is. I've gotten some baby arugula, organic, and I hope it's still hot enough in here. If you stir that in. Oh man, see, this is why teachers always learn from the students.
Thank you, Chelsea.
I think that was someone else.
No,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't.
Okay, yes, we stir that in. It just steams right down and adds another wonderful nutritional component to this dal.
When you were grating the ginger, did you leave the peel on?
I do leave it on and just grate right with that too. Yeah, it's a good idea to rinse your ginger first. But yeah, yeah, I do eat the peel too. This arugula just steamed right in there. That's great. I'm so glad I got that message. Yeah, I didn't have everything out after all. You see what happens? Oh my goodness. I wanted to demonstrate that for you. Oh boy. I feel so fortunate to eat plant-based because I think that the best food is plant-based. It's delicious. Indian cuisine is out of this world, and you don't need to stir the spices in oil to get the flavors and wonderful taste of them. And we can bake these chips and make tostadas and salsa. And anyway, it's great. I'm really looking forward to the Thai presenters next week. I think that's going to be amazing.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much, Jeanie. This was so fun. It's really fun watching everybody cook and like see the different variations. And that's the great thing about cooking is it's very creative. I always talk like cooking is like art and baking is like science. And so I myself enjoy cooking a lot because, you know, if the soup's not quite right, you can add something else and it's really fun. Looks beautiful.
It's true. And the suggestions that people offered for pickling and the soup are just great. I'm going to try some of them myself. So thank you.
Yeah, so we have a couple of cookbooks to give away. The first one is Vegan Thai Kitchen. This is by Sarah Jansala, who's going to be our chef next week. For those of you in Portland, or maybe if you have visited, I think the best Thai restaurant in Portland is Kati Thai, and she is one of the co-owners and one of their head chefs. So I'm so excited for her to be showing us how to cook. Wanted to mention the recipes. So again, I emailed the recipes for week 2 and 3 out to everybody who registered on Zoom, and I think it went into spam folders, but I'm also going to be posting it on the event page, and it's also posted on Instagram. And this recipe is, the ones we've done so far are simple. This one is not simple. So you'll definitely want to make sure you check it out like tomorrow or the next day, make sure you have time to get the ingredients. You don't have all the ingredients, don't worry about it. Just come with what you have. And you're, again, always welcome. Just hang out and watch. So that's the first cookbook. And then we'll be giving this away again next week. The second one is Scattered Vegan Sweets. And this is actually by Wendy Gaby Day, who is David Gaby's daughter. Her cooking style and cookbook style is very similar. So it's very easy to follow. It's over 85 delicious whole food, low fat and gluten-free sweets. So she does a lot of like natural sweeteners, low oil, things like that. So it's really great cookbook. So I pulled the winners, and Jocelyn, you are the first winner. So you get to pick which one you want.
I would love the Vegan Thai Kitchen cookbook.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
So if you can, are you on Instagram by chance?
Yes.
Okay, can you find me at Veggies Do It Better and just message me, and then I'll get your address and we'll get the book to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, you're welcome. Congratulations. And then the second winner is Jude and Brian. You guys are getting this Vegan Sweets book. And I'll just message you guys.
Yay! We're super stoked. Yay! Thank you. It's been
You're
awesome.
so welcome. Yeah, awesome. So I'll message you, Jude, and then we'll figure out a way to get this to you. And yeah, so thank you again, everybody, for coming this week. Thank you so much, Jeanie, for cooking with us and sharing all of your knowledge about SOS cooking and whole food plant-based cooking, and Violet for being the production team back there. Thanks, Violet. And yeah, we'll see everybody next week. Next week is our last class, so definitely encourage everybody to share and invite people to next week's. It's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited. And again, if you don't have all the ingredients, you can just tune in and watch and learn more. And if you're interested in finding out more about Veganuary, which is why we're doing this kind of resolution reset cooking series, you know, we started in the middle of the month of January. I encourage you to go to arcpdx.org/Veganuary. You can sign up for Veganuary there, which is a 31-day challenge. And then you can also find out about other events that we have going on. Next Saturday, actually, if you're in Portland, we're going to be doing a vegan social in person at Hail Snail to highlight the Vegan Dining Month special that they're doing. And for those that are in Portland, check out Vegan Dining Month through Vegan's Baby. And so they're doing a special, and then they're going to be doing a special for us that's gluten-free. And I worked with them on making like the sunrise snail that has the Thrilling Foods vegan bacon in it and the Just Egg, and then it's got the gluten-free snail on it. And like, you better get there quick because I'm going to order them all. But so that's next Saturday, and you can find out more at ARCPDX or Veggies Do It Better. So if anybody has any questions before we wrap up, we can do that now. No? Okay, well, oh, Steph?
I just wanted to say thank you to Chelsea and to Jeanie. This was wonderful.
Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you too. This was a lot of fun.
Sadie, were you going to say something?
Just thank you. Great.
All right, well, everybody enjoy your dinner and your week, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.